Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. My name's Rebecca Lewis-Pankratz. I work for an organization called ESDAC. I work to help school systems and communities understand the plight of poverty and what kids and families who are experiencing poverty need from those that care for them. In 2011, I was 7 months clean and sober. I was living in a trailer house that should have been condemned in McPherson, Kansas, in a small hidden ghetto on the west end of town, a trailer park that most people don't even know is there. The trailer I lived in, I bought for $1,000. Windows broke out, holes in the floor, front door didn't close right. Had a car that was faithful to nothing but breakdowns. My water heater didn't work, so we were boiling water for baths. I'd been in college for almost a decade trying to get a 4-year degree to be a high school art teacher. I had 3 little boys. And, every single day I would get up and I'd pray as hard as I knew how to pray, and I'd run as fast as I knew how to run. But this bone crushing weight of poverty just, kept spinning me back. Like I'd go a step forward and then get knocked back 3. And so I was fighting for a better life for my kids, but I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. And truth be told, I carried a lot of shame. I lived in a predominantly middle-class community, and from the time I was younger, and I would encounter middle-class people in middle-class systems. And there was always just this kind of idea of, I just always had this experience of, they didn't say it, but this feeling that when I would encounter them, like, we just wish you and your kind would just go away. So I carried that in my bones. And I was working nights as a bartender in a bowling alley in college full time. And one of the friends in the trailer park told me, she's like, hey, you can go to this church for free diapers. They have a diaper ministry there. Just walk in, get some diapers, no questions asked. I didn't like to go in there and ask for diapers, right? But there's this lady that ran the outreach, and I don't know, immediately she just took a shine to me. And when I would walk in the building, Lynette would stop whatever she was doing and she'd light up, right? And she learned my name and she learned my kids' names. And one day I was in there and I was telling her, I was like, Lynette, you have no idea how much these diapers mean to me and my kids. And I promised that when I get through school and I become a teacher and I get me and my kids to a better place, we're going to come here and give back so that other moms can have this. And Lynette just kind of lovingly shook her head and pointed to a flyer. This is something about a class to get out of poverty. My first thought was, what are these people going to teach me about poverty, about getting out of poverty that I'm not already doing? But I thought, man, I've got so many diapers from Lynette, I better sign up. She's like, oh yeah, it'll be great. You come once a week and there's a family style meal and the kids go to childcare and there's all these middle-class people there for support. All of that sounded absolutely horrifying to me, right? Like my kids had, we lived in a trailer house that should have been condemned, and I knew that. Addiction's not very far from my background, and my kids really struggled with meltdowns. So going in public spaces was not something we did easily. I showed up that first night, and out of this debt that I felt like I owed Lynette. And, I stood outside of the building with my 3 kids, and I just remember thinking, I was terrified and thinking, when I go in here, there's going to be all this middle-class judgment, like, look at your life, look at your kids, here's where you're messed up, here's what you need to do. Like, they were going to try and fix me. And I pushed the door open and I went in, and there was these 3, what I considered powerful looking middle-class women that just came over and scooped up my little boys. And they acted like they weren't running amok. And it took me and about 8 other parents into a room, and they sat us down and they said, look, here's the deal. We see families struggling in this county, and we think the root cause of that struggle is poverty, and we want to solve it. And we need people like you who are living it to tell us what to do, to tell us what you need. So instantly they disarmed me and they empowered me. I left that night pretty blown away. I'd never heard people talk about poverty like that before. Like, kind of like they knew my story. And I just remember having so much hope that night that I felt like I was floating. So I kind of continued to show up in suspicion, and all the things I thought I would find from these middle-class people, I didn't find. I found people that were genuinely interested in my life and in my kids' story. They were curious about me. They were helping me to unpack what poverty is and what it isn't, and they were asking questions. And they helped me to realize that that there are a lot of beautiful things in my culture. And they started to help me understand that poverty wasn't my fault. So if you're watching this tonight, I want to just kind of stop for a minute. And I want you to just say in your head, poverty is not my fault. Whole lot of paradigms started shifting for me. And I started to be able to dream again. I'd had dreams. That's why I was in college fighting my way for a 4-year degree. But poverty had taught me 2 things. I needed to be tough, and that life was painful. And so dreaming felt like a slippery slope. And the idea of dreaming felt futile most times. But this group of people helped me to start dreaming. And realizing that I was worthy, I was valuable, and that I wasn't alone, and that they didn't want me and my kind to go away. They wanted me and my kind to come to the table and spend time with them and build a better future for everybody. So after graduation of the Getting Ahead class, I got matched with a middle class friend and started that journey out of poverty. And I'm not going to tell you it was easy. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But when I got tired and I wanted to give up, I had people in my life that were like, keep going. We promise there's another side to this. Don't stop. We're with you. I finally graduated college, and not too long after that, there was a job opening at that poverty project. So from 2012 to 2017, I got to be a part of building the largest, most successful poverty project like that in the country. Getting more families completely out of generational poverty, situational poverty than any other project had ever done, including myself and my 3 little boys and my mom for the first time since she was 5. I got to witness miracles, home ownership, careers, marriages, kids on traveling sports teams, cars that run, car insurance all year long, same cell phone number, like all these little things. I was watching them accumulate in the lives of those that were in our project. And it was just powerful. At some point, I started to consult for a company called ESDAC, where I work now, going into school systems and really trying to help teachers figure out what poverty is and what it isn't, and more importantly, what do kids and parents need from the school system. In 2017, ESDAC approached me and said, hey, what would you do if we made you the director over 10 of our learning centers in the state of Kansas? Learning centers are high school completion programs for dropouts. And I was like, oh, I was a dropout. Yeah, I could do that. And I'm like, but are you going to let me build poverty projects out of those learning centers? And they said, well, yeah, that's what we hoped you would say. At that time, I had become dear friends with Deb Factor, the CEO for Youth Core Ministries, and had been a part of walking alongside of her as she got their first poverty project off the ground in Greensburg, Kansas. And I went to Deb and I said, hey, I'm leaving the poverty project in McPherson, and I'm going to go and start building more of these projects out of learning centers in Kansas. And she's like, no way. I just met with my board last night, and we feel like we're supposed to build more projects too in Kansas. I'm like, yeah, where's your project? Where do you guys feel like you're supposed to go? And you guys know the story, right? Where my learning centers were, and where Deb felt like her board and her organization were called to go build these projects were in the same town. So this beautiful partnership was built. And we started building poverty projects. We've got them in multiple communities now. And we're really helping communities understand that we can solve poverty. People can get out. People can get out, and they need a safe, supportive community in which to do so. and that there are a ton of Rebeccas running around your town and you're missing out. And so how do we create that? And so I just want to stop and just I'm really interested in you and how this video ended up in your possession. Like, why are you watching right now? Are you tired? Are you frustrated? Do you feel misunderstood? Do you feel afraid? Does poverty seem like a never-ending part of your story? Do you want something different for you and your kids, you and your spouse, you and your bloodline? Then this is probably for you. I promise if you come to the table and you let us start this process with you, we're not going to try and fix you. We're not going to tell you what to do. You will not be judged. You will not be shamed. You will be celebrated as valuable and important in our project and in your community. I just want you to know there's a way out. There's a way out, and it's incredible. The year that I started the project in 2011, I had made $7,000 earned income that year. I was recovering from a 4-year stint with profound alcoholism. Prior to that, I was a meth addict. My life was pretty much broken, and I was desperately wanting to put it back together and create something different for my kids. So the year that I found the project, I made $7,000 earned income, was living in a trailer house that should have been condemned. It was rough. It was painful. And now I'm married to an incredible person. We have a dream home. I work at a job where I get to do stuff that makes a difference. I have relationships with all kinds of people, and they're listening and they want to know what to do, how to help. And so I feel like I'm contributing. I feel like my life has a plan and a purpose. And my kids, they don't remember the struggle. Our cabinets are full. Our gas tanks are full. We have savings. My kids are thinking about college, right? That stuff that everybody deserves. And so I just wonder if you're watching this, I'm really curious to meet you. I want to know your story. We're wondering if you'll come to the table and start the 20-week process of getting ahead. It's once a week. There's childcare. There's a meal. You'll come and kind of unpack what poverty is and what it isn't in your community. Because here's the deal. We need experts to solve poverty in your community. And experts are not the people who've got degrees, that have studied poverty, that have made reports, that have done research. It is the people in your community who are living in poverty. You are the expert on poverty. And we need you at the table. We can't solve it without you. So I just wonder if you'll consider kind of showing up for an orientation. Come in, meet us, see if we're different than the other kind of places that you might have encountered before. I promise you something incredible is waiting for you. This video did not come to you by accident. So just come and check it out. Come and check it out. Come and spend time with us. And let's get people out of poverty and into the lives that they deserve. I hope to see you and meet you soon. Blessings.